Hello, my name is Dylan Riley. I am here to show you how to use SpeedTree to create a tree with seasons and then implement it into Unreal Engine. Now, I'm not going to be necessarily showing you how to create the tree itself for a video game. I'm expecting you already know how to do that, but I will show you how to implement seasons. So, what you're going to do first is whenever you're making your tree for your video game, you'll most likely be using cards, and you're going to make a little branch, put leaves on it. I'm using leaves from Quixel Megascans just because I wanted something quick. But I do implore you to make your own. So from here, I'm going to go to the leaf I downloaded and I'm going to duplicate it for however many seasons I want. But just 3 for here, and then for the winter, I am going to remove the leaves and export the material that way. But you can go into these materials, come here and just edit what you want these to be. So for autumn, you'd go more towards a orange or yellow. So once I have all of these different leaves set up, then I'm going to come down here to material sets, and I'm going to add the leaf I want, and I'm going to give it a season. Now, because there's 4 seasons within SpeedTree, like there is in the real world, you can just divide these quadrants by 4, so there's 8 of them, so 2 per quadrant, or 2 quadrants out of the 8 will get you a nice spacing. So this is the spring, and then I'm going to come here and make the summer, and then here to make the fall. And essentially these charts tell this slider up here when to switch colors. And so then you're going to line your branch up, come over here, choose the season you want, and export it. So I'm going to go to File, Export Material, OK, and then I'm going to export it to wherever I want it. And you can do that for every season, summer, autumn, and winter. To create the winter one, I'm just going to hide these leaves, and there you go. You can export that material and you'll have the winter material. Next, I'm going to go into my tree. I'm going to, again, come to materials and add these materials, each branch, spring, autumn, and winter, and summer, into the material tab. And then once you have all of those implemented and the cutouts set up, you can come to material sets and again pretty much just do the same thing. You choose the card you want, put it in, and you can change it by again going into this chart and choosing where you want the material and when you want it to be affected on this slider. So now that I have that set up, I can go through and change it based on that. And just to be clear, whenever you do make these material sets in the leaves material, instead of choosing the branch you want, you choose the set, and that way it uses all of those leaves. Now what you do is once you have your tree set up and your season set up within SpeedTree, you can come here, you can choose which season you want with this slider. So I'm going to choose spring. I'm going to export it to game. And wait for this to export. Okay. Now I'm going to go to autumn. I'm going to skip summer because they look pretty identical. And I'm going to export this one as well. I'm going to change this to bottom so we can tell them apart. And now lastly, I'm going to do winter, export it to game, go here, and change the name. Oop, put name there. Okay, and export that. So now that you're in Unreal Engine, make sure to save your level and everything. I'm going to create a tree folder and come in here and import these ST9 files into Unreal Engine. And the reason you export the ST9 files is it basically sets up all of these materials for you. So now that we have everything imported, I've deleted the other two trees themselves because we don't need them since we're using these materials within this one tree. I'm going to go to the SpeedTree master material, and this is how it should look default if you exported it with wind. And we're only going to be messing up here. And this will, sorry, I had changed that. This will come with a name as just color opacity, and I renamed it to color opacity spring. And now I'm going to need to duplicate it twice. This one is going to be a color opacity autumn, and this one is going to be a color opacity winter. I'm going to move these over here, and I'm going to disconnect these lines. Now what I'm going to do is look up alert, and I'm going to grab this alert 3 color. This is a material function that should come with just a default Unreal Engine. And I'm going to plug this RGB into A, the autumn RGB into B, and the winter RGB into C. I'm going to come to the alpha and I'm going to create a parameter based on the alpha, and I'm going to call it season blending. Now, I also want to duplicate this lerp node so that we can use it for the alphas as well. I'm going to take the spring alpha into A, the autumn alpha into B, and the winter alpha into C. And we can reuse this season blending for that lerp alpha as well. Now I'm going to take these, plug them into here, and make sure your season blending has a slider minimum of 0 and a slider max of 1, and just to default that 0. Now you have a default tree. You can come into the material instance and you can apply, now that you have color opacity autumn, color opacity spring, and winter, you can come in here and choose which materials you want to use for those slots. I had already set it up previously, that's why they're in there. And then you just come up to the top and you find your season blending, you turn it on, and now as you go from 0 to 1, you'll see the tree slowly change over time. And you can take this further and create a blueprint and use time. So as you know, the time goes on in your game, the seasons will slowly change using this seasonal blending slider. And another thing you can do is go to this season blending tab, go to group, and put it in the albedo of the SpeedTree master groups. So that way, when you save it, it will just come up here with the albedo and you'll know where it is since it's affecting the color. And that should be it for this tutorial. I hope this really helped. I don't know how optimized this is. I'm not the greatest at figuring that out, but hopefully it can at least point you in a direction to make a really effective season changing asset that you can use in your games or animations or whatever you want to do within Unreal. I hope you learned a lot, and thank you.